I wonder where you were going. Mulholland Drive. Mulholland Drive. That's where I was going. Mulholland Drive. Maybe that's where the accident was. There must be a police report we could call. No, we could call anonymously from a payphone just to see if there was an accident. Come on, it'll be just like in the movies. We'll pretend to be someone else. I want to walk around anyway. I'm in Hollywood and I haven't even seen any of it. Come on, Rita, do you feel up to it? Okay. But just to see if there was an accident on Mulholland Drive.
Oh my goodness. Welcome
back to the show.
Ooh, spooky.
Spooky opening.
Is this
week.
a Halloween episode or what?
Yep. No.
Listeners, my name's Pete.
And I'm Scott. And these are the movies that made us gay. Yes, Zoë Secrest, welcome back to the show.
To the show.
Hi. Thank
This
you
is
so
a long
much for
time
having
coming.
me.
The last time that we were supposed to record this episode, Pete and I got COVID. So we could not do could not talk about this great movie.
Damn you, COVID.
I know. But oh my goodness, what a ride. This
Indeed.
movie is insane. This movie was insane. Wild ride. I'm glad I rewatched it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we're going to talk a little bit about my journey with this movie. But before we do that, Scott, get the paperwork out of the way. What the heck did we just watch?
What the heck did we just watch? We watched Mulholland Drive, of course, directed by Mr. David Lynch.
Yes.
This debuted at the Cannes Film Festival May 16th, 2001.
Okay.
Released limited October 12th of that year.
Okay.
Mulholland Drive. So I think that we were talking about a number of movies to do, and you mentioned Mulholland Drive, so I had to jump at the chance to do it.
Yeah. It had been quite a while since I've seen it, and I definitely needed that. That rewatch.
You need the refresher.
Big time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just David Lynch was the first. It's like my dad's a film major, my mom's a film major, so movies been a part of my life for a long time, and I started kind of delving into more avant-garde auteurs, whatever, shall we say, around, I don't know, it was 13 or 14, and David Lynch was one of the the weirdos that I heard about first. And the first thing I ever saw of his was Eraserhead, which seeing that as a 13-year-old, I have no idea what possessed me to want to continue watching David Lynch movies, but if I can make it through this one.
Understandable.
Yeah.
I'm kind of a noob when it comes to David Lynch. I haven't seen all that many movies, so this is not going to be a deep dive into the career of David Lynch. But
there's other podcasts for that.
There's other podcasts for that. This is definitely not
Yeah.
what we're here to discuss today.
No.
But I did this was my introduction to David Lynch.
Okay.
I remember when this movie came out. I remember I subscribed to Premiere Magazine. I've talked about it on the show.
Yeah.
And I remember this movie being written up a lot in 2001.
Yeah.
So I immediately was intrigued by it, that I had just sort of heard about David Lynch. I really hadn't seen any of his movies.
Yeah.
And I remember renting this summer of 2002, because this did not come out on DVD until very long after its theatrical release.
Yeah.
And renting it and just being so fucking confused by it. I did not know what to think about it. Also, the other thing that I thought was very fascinating is that as a young person following the Oscars, this is one of those Oscar nominations, one nomination, Best Director, which is fascinating for this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just the one.
It
Yeah,
just
there's so
got the
much-
one lone director nomination.
Well, it's so kooky.
But I think it's pretty cool that this kooky movie that did manage to crack the director top 5.
Yeah.
So David Lynch does have sort of that Academy sway.
So, you two, obviously, and maybe most of our listeners are too young for Twin Peaks. But
I got into Twin Peaks in college. We can discuss that later.
I was myself too young for Twin Peaks.
Yeah.
I was like 12, but my older sister in high school at the time was obsessed. She loved Kyle MacLachlan, but it wasn't just because Kyle MacLachlan was like a hottie. She was obsessed with this like crazy mystery in the Pacific Northwest and all of this stuff going on, and it's on television, and like it's 90210 era, and I'm watching Saved by the Bell and like 90210, and she's like, I'm gonna watch Twin Peaks.
I'm gonna
like,
rock your world.
Yes. And she got like the Laura Palmer Diaries, like this book, and I was just like, this is way cooler than me.
What is this cuckoo banana show?
What is this? So try to watch it and be like, all right. And then like the Fire Walk with Me movie came out. I watched it with her in the theater. I still was like, no clue.
You two went to Fire Walk with Me in the theater?
We did.
I did not know that.
We did, yeah. And then this gem came along, and what we discovered last night, I remember not seeing this in the theater. I rented it, most likely on DVD, not a VHS at this point in 2002, did you say? 2004?
2002. It would have been. It was released on VHS.
Yeah, but I got it the DVD because I remember the whole brouhaha about no chapters. Don't you dare skip ahead in this movie. Watch it in order. All right, fine. I'm watching it in order. What I discovered last night was that I did not finish this movie.
Oh, where did you drop out in your previous
all
viewing?
This time of me going, I don't know, I don't get it, I don't know what's going on, it's too over my head, and Scott going, you kind of piece it together when you watch it, and I'm like, but I never pieced it together. What I don't. So, all right. First off, we need to tell listeners also. This movie, a big thing that I was doing last night, I kept leaning over to Scott saying, I'm going to discover the mystery of Mulholland Drive. The mystery of Mulholland Drive. We're going to unlock the mystery. Unlock the mystery of Mulholland Drive. If you've not seen this movie before, maybe you want to watch it, right? Because I think there are a lot of theories about what this movie's about and what the mystery is.
And David Lynch is very forward of not giving any explanations for it too.
Right.
I really love that about him personally. He is not. If you don't get it, that's kind of the point.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to hold your hand.
Totally.
And I'm just going to make my kooky weird art shit, and you eat it up or you don't. But I'm not going to give you any crumbs along the way.
And David Lynch is very open to different interpretations of the movie.
Yeah,
that it means something different for each viewer that watches it.
Right.
Because I've even seen him talk about like this came in one or more like dreams. Like it's obviously the dream-like vibe is there the entire time, but like even for him, I'm sure this had a lot of interpretations that it was coming through. Like
for sure. But if you have an inkling, listeners, of watching this movie, I would say watch it first, because I would not want to go into this movie hearing people talk about their theories of what the answer is or what is actually going on.
You gotta go on
and
the
then
journey.
watch it. You have to watch it.
You can read the wiki entry later.
Yeah. I strongly recommend watching it first before you listen to us or reading plot descriptions or anything, because it is a ride that you have to go on and just kind of you want to figure it out. And I'm not saying anything that we're going to say in this episode is fact or true according to David Lynch. This is just I think we're going to kind of talk about the most commonly
the most
agreed
surface,
upon.
The most surface interpretation,
the most
of
surface theories.
What's going on in here?
Yeah.
Yep.
But I mean, if you're not familiar with it, it's crazy, it's cuckoo. But I definitely recommend watching.
You do have to unlock the mystery.
Yeah,
on your own,
for sure.
And the background of this movie is so fascinating because it was conceived as a television pilot that they shot in 1999, and they made it as a potential series, maybe Twin Peaks spinoff. I've kind of read various things that it was maybe intended that it was going to be a spinoff for the character of Audrey from Twin Peaks.
Sherilyn Fenn has said that it was going to be her character.
She was going to go to Los Angeles to become an actress, and these would sort of be the events
that would have been
of
cool.
what would happen.
Yeah.
That would have been very cool.
Yeah.
So they shot like a 45-minute pilot for ABC. whatever
Wild.
network exec was like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah, like,
This
you're going to
is-
take that to ABC.
This is
like,
not airing on network television. I know that you did Twin Peaks, but like,
we already gave you a lot of leeway with
we're
that
going to
one.
pass on that. And so I think that it was a little bit later that they decided to repackage it with some funding to do a movie out of
Feature.
it. And they brought back Naomi Watts and they completed the movie.
Okay.
And it makes so much sense when you're watching this.
And the
of
footage that they
television movie.
the footage that they shot for the pilot is in this movie.
I think
They didn't
so.
reshoot or
I
Really?
think,
Okay.
I
Yeah.
think that it's maybe like the first 45 minutes.
You
of
know
the
what
movie.
I think it is too? I think it's all the kooky stuff with the movie executives, the man in the red room with the blue lamp,
The cowboy.
sitting in the no, but I mean specifically the scenes with the man in the red room and the blue
Yeah.
lamp because he was on.
Oh,
He
yeah,
was in
sure,
Twin
sure,
Peaks.
sure,
Yeah,
sure.
I
Yeah.
recognized
He
him.
was
like,
backwards,
right
burns
away.
his suit, like backwards talking guy.
There is a cut of the pilot on YouTube that I should have probably
okay.
watched prior to
I
recording.
didn't
I did
know
not.
this.
But I take it that the idea for the first episode would have probably been roughly the first 45 minutes of the movie.
Sure.
Of when you're getting the character of Betty going to her aunt's house, finding this woman in the apartment who just wandered in off the
You know,
street.
when
Yep.
you go to visit your aunt and you find a naked lady in her shower.
Yeah.
A
So
very confused naked lady in the
my
shower.
God. Okay, so real quick, everything that I do not remember that I think I stopped it was after the blue box.
Okay.
that checks out.
And I feel like maybe at that point I was like, I need a break.
That's probably when a lot of people. That's probably a big make or break it moment for a lot of
Yeah.
viewers.
Yeah, it's
I'm going to go have a cigarette, a Diet Dr. Pepper,
yeah.
chill out, and then we'll come back and finish it. And then I never did. Or else it was just been erased from my memory because I have no memory of any of it.
Because you got sucked into the puzzle box.
I must have. That's the other explanation is I got sucked into the blue box because I don't remember the real Sybil Danning. What's her name? Diane Selwyn. Diane Selwyn. I don't remember the real Diane Selwyn waking up in the bed. I don't. Or is it the real Diane Selwyn? Who knows? I don't remember Diane Selwyn waking up and it being Naomi Watts. I don't remember the dinner party. And the whole and you were there, and you were there, and you were there, revelation moment.
Yeah.
I don't remember the crazy old couple from the airport. How do I forget that?
I love the old couple from the airport.
Oh, yeah.
How do I forget the crazy old couple from the airport climbing under the door frame?
Yeah, coming out of the door frame. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know how I forgot that.
Yeah.
I was very taken aback by that today.
Yeah.
How
I feel like I must have just said, this feels like a good breaking point.
Yeah. I'm at my breaking point.
I'm at my breaking point. It's 2002. I just got a page. I don't know. My really heavy cell phone.
You had to make it to the roost for
I did. I did have to make it to the roost. My cell phone just rang, so I need to charge it again for another 3 hours. I don't know, but that's kind of where my memories end. So I feel like I must not have finished it because now it makes a lot. I hesitate to say makes a lot more sense.
It doesn't make sense. It makes more sense.
It makes more sense when Scott says the whole thing of, this base theory, and we'll talk about later on. But we'll kind of set up characters and what's going on in this insane ride.
So I watched this movie initially when I was in high school, when it came out, and then I later returned back to it in college when we watched it for a film class, for film theory. Because, this is probably a very ripe movie for, classroom discussion of just interpretation.
Yeah.
That's probably why.
Lots of interpretations.
That's probably why the instructor chose it.
They don't have to do a lot of work in leading.
You can sort of fill in the blank of.
What do you think?
You can sort of fill in the blank for just a lot of film discussions of everything going on in this movie. So I think that's really when I fell in love with it. Of later returning back to it in college.
Right.
And it's interesting to revisit this movie now because I got this Criterion in 2015. I have a bad habit of buying media and not watching it.
Yeah.
So that's kind of my toxic trait is that I own David Lynch's Elephant Man, but I have never watched it.
It's mostly the Criterions that we get. I feel like they're older. They're not new releases. We're just like, we'll get to them.
It's one of those things that I'm going to get to
now
it.
I have you,
Yes.
so I can get to you whenever.
Totally.
Your mind
Yeah,
goes.
so, I mean, last night was probably the first time since I bought this new Blu-ray, beautiful transfer, that I have properly sat down and watched it. And it's fascinating to revisit this movie now that I have journeyed to the City of Angels, Los Angeles. I have been the character of Betty. That I moved here without really knowing anybody. And just
hope
like
and a dream and
a
some
hope
loose
and a
change
dream.
in your pocket.
But I was smart enough to not like try to become an actor. That like I knew that like my fragile ego cannot handle that type of rejection. Yeah. So I never quite pursued anything for that. But it's definitely a journey that I can kind of relate to now of being like this stranger in this
in a new land.
In this new land called Los Angeles.
Yeah.
And wouldn't it have been fun if I would have discovered this chick and like tried to unravel this mystery and was all like Nancy Drew.
Yeah.
These two and these girl detective adventures.
I mean, it's,
right.
I think
it was a little like Nancy Drew was my boyfriend. I watched it with my boyfriend today. Was saying it's kind of like Betty and Veronica a little bit.
Yeah.
Like it's,
and there's the blonde and the brunette.
The brunette. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think that something like that's pretty. It's what I sort of latch onto the most is just the very surfacey things going on in the story with the character of Betty coming to L.A.
Well, it's so crazy because you have Betty and her delivery as Betty is insane. So, I mean, the very first scene of her is literally getting off the plane.
Yeah.
Right. Coming to LAX. And they're on that Arrival's second floor at LAX outside. And so the whole scene is like dubbed over.
Yeah.
Because their dialogue was probably useless
Obviously,
when they shot it, right?
Yeah.
and it sounds like such a movie because it's like that dubbed over audio, and her delivery's just so like I can't believe I'm here.
So peachy.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's just saying these crazy lines.
I mean, it's giving TV movie.
I was so excited and so nervous.
Yeah.
Betty makes like Betty's like best friends with the old lady.
Right.
Sitting next to her on the flight.
Irene.
Yes.
Well, that's the other thing too. It's like you kind of think that she's traveling with this woman that maybe it's her grandmother, but then we get this little like, well, nice to meet you, and you're like, oh, haha, that's so funny.
She's just so sweet that she just befriends all the nice little old ladies on the plane.
Yeah.
And I was like looking around at the scene, I'm like, everybody looks very like relaxed to be at LAX, and I was like, oh, it's before 9/11.
Yeah,
that's why.
Also, yeah.
Oh, that's why.
Also, and she has like old-fashioned luggage.
Yeah.
Like it's the old, like just one handle on top, kind of like suitcase from back in the day.
You put it on the bed and you pop it
and
open.
pop it out,
like,
exactly, yeah. Because like nowadays, nobody has that anymore. That's outdated. But it's like, I don't know, maybe they were transitioning to the rolly suitcases.
I mean, it's just that archetype of the wide-eyed blonde right off of the bus who just is going to like give this biz like a 1 month try.
She's going to give it her best shot.
And if not, she has like her room waiting for her back home in like Wisconsin.
In Ontario, she said.
Ontario,
that's what I was also thinking. I was like, the only way that anybody would be this nice to a stranger that they just is if
Canadian.
they were Canadian.
That was
the
my
only way this
when
works.
she kept saying that she was from Ontario, I was like, oh, maybe that's a character beat because she's so super friendly. She's Canadian. That I thought the exact same thing.
Yeah.
So it's so interesting that Betty has these like super kind of over the top optimistic scenes. Her delivery is so like kooky,
precious,
precious,
too,
exactly.
Yeah.
But the movie opens on Rita / Camilla.
Well, I was going to say the movie opens with like the crazy swing dancing.
Oh, well,
which immediately puts you in like the oh man, like what the fuck is going on in this movie?
Yeah.
What are we in for?
Yeah, but we get these scenes with Laura Herring, the beautiful,
so beautiful
Laura Herring,
cheekbones for days.
And it's like it's one of those things that we're just like, what has she done lately? She didn't really have that big of a career afterwards.
I mean,
what did she do?
I feel like Laura Herring was sort of buzzed to be a big deal.
She was
when this movie was coming out. I really just remember her from this and also Willard with Crispin Glover.
Okay. What we did find out about Laura Herring is that she is a Miss USA.
She's Mexican American, right?
Well, she was born in Mexico, and she moved to Texas, and she became Miss Texas, Miss USA, and runner-up for Miss Universe.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, Laura.
So, yeah, that's pretty good. Pageant. Pageant queen.
I mean, she was just recently in the Father of the Bride movie with Andy
Oh,
Garcia.
the new one with Andy Garcia?
The new one.
Okay.
So,
All right.
I mean,
we'll check her out. We'll
she
look
does
for her there.
work.
Okay, good. Good for her, because she's stunning, but on top of that, more so than that, she's really good in this.
Yeah.
I mean, the character is, I hesitate to say one note.
But
I mean, it's one note for a reason.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. But also the note does definitely change at a certain point in the movie.
Yes.
And everybody just kind of like turns the
Yeah.
character or just is playing a different character, I guess. But yeah, we get these like crazy scenes with her in the limo and like we're not supposed to stop here and
They're
gun.
up on Mulholland Drive.
This crazy car accident.
and then there's a car accident, and then she does what anybody else does after they get in a car accident and find themselves alone, is they walk down the side of a mountain in a party dress and heels and fall asleep next to a sprinkler
On the lawn
and
somewhere.
wander into the next open apartment that you see.
Yeah.
This apartment building
The courtyard,
Oh
this
my
Melrose
God.
Place apartment
is
building.
fascinating. I mean, this is some like old LA shit.
There's tons of
It's
these. in
There's
amazing.
tons
Yeah.
of these apartments
There's
when you
tons of
drive
these
around
in
Hollywood.
LA and Hollywood. Yeah, but it's like you would love to live there.
Their
but these-
tenants have probably lived there for decades.
50
and
years.
probably
Yeah.
paying $300 in
Yeah.
rent.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
It's all a bunch of Aunt Ruth, whoever
Yeah.
her aunt. It's
Aunt
all
Ruth,
Aunt
yeah.
Ruth living in these
Yeah.
apartments.
And the fabulous apartment
Oh
manager,
my God, Coco. I
What?
can't get over
What
Coco.
what a queen.
Ann Miller,
Played by Ann Miller.
the spit curls, the too much rouge, the blue eyeshadow. We love her. That teeny little nose, that little toothpick of a nose. We love Ann Miller. Listeners, if you're not familiar, she was a golden age movie superstar.
She was in a lot of big MGM musicals.
She was a dancer. Yeah, she was a hoofer. She's in is it Anchors Away with Frank Sinatra, where they're like Navy men just like,
On the Town?
On the Town.
Yep.
Yeah. That one's really fun. It's a really fun movie. And Ann Miller's amazing. There's a really fun SNL sketch where Molly Shannon plays Ann Miller, hosting a talk show with Debbie Reynolds. Leg up, leg up. But yeah, she plays Coco, the amazing apartment manager. But we get, I mean, how many stories are intertwined in this? That's what makes me feel like it would have been such a really good television show, because we get, we get Rita and Betty, but we also get Justin Theroux.
And
You
like
get
the drama with the movie
Justin
industry.
Theroux.
This crazy movie.
and the character of Adam and the them casting the leading lady.
Yeah.
They're
Yes.
going back and forth with the producers.
These Italian brother producers that are just, for some reason, everybody's like deathly afraid of these men.
If Dan Hedaya were glaring at me like that
Oh
from
my
across
God.
a table, I would be pretty scared also.
Absolutely. Those eyebrows.
We're getting
Oh,
up
yeah,
there.
serious
We're
eyebrows.
getting up there with Dan Hedaya movies. We've done like 5.
Yeah.
I should have put together a quiz for Dan Hedaya.
Man,
Maybe I'll do
yeah.
it on our next movie that we do for him.
Yeah, the patron saint of this show. He's been in a lot of episodes. But
He's got such a great face.
oh my God, yeah, so expressive. His voice is amazing, and that's the thing in this movie. He says like 2 words. Still super scary.
Also,
Yeah, that's his power.
I mean, also Robert Forrester, just that one scene.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
Another great set of eyebrows.
Yeah, I forgot about that because he shows up, and I was like, I totally forgot he's in this, and for a good reason, because we never see him again.
And I bet that was something shot for the pilot.
Sure, yeah.
I don't know that for sure, but I bet that
No,
was...
that makes sense. And yeah, I didn't realize this was shot for a pilot first, and
Yeah.
now I feel like things are clicking.
It's all-
clicking
yeah.
together. Yeah, it's all making sense.
Oh my God, and we can't even forget one of the most iconic early scenes of this movie,
the diner scene?
the Winkies.
So the Winky scene is always earlier than I remember it being.
Same.
Okay, I remember it like opening the movie. I remember it being like, boom, right off the bat. The sea hag behind the Winkies.
Do you know who the sea hag is played by? Right.
I know Siag is played by a lady, but
by
I don't know.
Bonnie Aarons, and Bonnie Aarons you might know from
The Nun.
The Nun.
No
In
shit.
The Conjuring
That's
2. Yep.
so cool.
And she's the demon. It's the Nun.
Yeah.
Essentially. Yeah. Because I was going to say in the other Conjuring movies. Yeah. She's got the
Annabelle?
Nun movie, but I'm thinking of
The Conjuring 2.
Yeah, I'm thinking of Conjuring 2.
Yeah.
Yeah. The painting. Yeah.
She's
Sorry.
also, I think that she runs the strip club Lindsay Lohan dances at in I Know Who Killed Me, too.
For a second, I thought you were just talking about like this Bonnie Aaron. Like she also runs this.
You know, Bonnie Aaron. She's a strip club matron.
Over there.
You know that
But
Lindsay
yeah,
works at.
she's also in a memorable scene of that crazy movie.
Okay.
But just has a very interesting look about her.
Yeah, she's great. This scene, scary as hell.
It's very, very
yeah.
scary.
Oh,
So
yeah.
what the hell?
Whenever you see sort of lists of the most like the scariest scenes from the past like 30 years in movies, this is usually on it.
Yeah. It's one of those things that it's like it's kind of non sequitur when you're watching the movie. What does this have to do? Who are these men?
Mm-hmm.
What role do they play? What is and he keeps referring to a man being back there. I see this man. I'm having a dream. I see this man. I can see him through the wall. I know he's back there. He's waiting for me. And then the whole thing. And I mean, I don't know in the movie if we're supposed to understand that it's a woman.
Mm-hmm.
I always refer to her as the sea hag because of just the look.
She was reminding me of like old Greg, that old Mighty Boosh skit.
Yes,
It's like,
definitely.
oh my God, it's old Greg.
Very old Greg for sure. Which is also a little sea hag.
This actor,
very, very much.
This actor I've seen in a lot of stuff. His name is Patrick Flesher, I think.
The
one who has the dream.
The one who has the dream,
Yeah.
Dan. And he's talking to the guy, and he's just like, "You were in the dream, and you were standing by the
right
cash
over
register."
there.
And then it all starts to click that
starts
this
happening.
is the dream.
But that's the thing too. It's like it's really early in the movie, and it introduces this concept of, is this a dream?
Right.
You know, because like you said, is this the dream that he's having, or did he dream it and it's like now coming to life? Because he said,
Right.
"Oh, in my dream you were standing over there," and then he's like, "Okay, well let's go pay the check," and then he looks and that's where he was standing and all that. So it's like, is the dream happening in his waking life, or is he back in the dream? You know, and then the whole walk to the back of this Winkies that is very clearly a Denny's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they just slapped a sign.
Wink, wink.
Yeah, exactly.
A Denny's that we always thought was the one off of Sunset Boulevard, but it is not.
Well, we thought it was the one. Well, there are
Oh.
very many Denny's on Sunset Boulevard, but we thought it was specifically the one at the 101 exit. Mm-hmm. Is it Sunset or is it Hollywood? I don't remember, but it says Sunset Boulevard.
I think
on the
it's
sign.
Sunset.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. It is not, though. When you look at the exterior across the street, I'm sure IMDb tells us exactly which Denny's it is. But yeah, it sets up this whole like dream motif throughout. You know that continues throughout the rest of the movie,
Right.
Because there are some scenes that are very clearly like, what's going on?
So,
Right.
according to IMDb, this is not a Denny's. It is Caesar's Restaurant.
Ooh,
It is in
okay,
Gardenia.
Gardena. Caesar's Restaurant in
Gardena, yep.
Gardena. Okay, all right.
Okay.
Well, shut all of our mouths.
Just a little bit off Sunset.
Yeah, exactly.
But I like a lot that Lynch. I like this a lot about Lynch, that there is. You might be set in a normal place like L.A. or like in Blue Velvet in some like cute, suburban town, but there is something sinister going on underneath
Yes.
the surface. There's
Yeah.
something that lurks beneath.
Yeah, absolutely. And in a city as big and as like storied as LA, it's
Right.
like, okay, well, that's got to be the movie industry.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's got to be following, Betty following her dream and like, just being a little too naive about things.
The Village Voice called this movie a poisonous Valentine to Hollywood.
Well, there you go.
Ooh, I love that.
Yeah. Like you said, when Betty first sees Rita, whatever her name is,
Pretty much immediately when getting in her aunt's apartment, and like she hasn't even unpacked her bag.
Right.
yeah,
Like she walks in the bathroom and sees this naked woman in her shower.
And she's surprisingly super cool about
Yeah.
it. Like,
Well, Rita's
gonna go with this.
Rita's kind of cowering in the corner, like,
Yeah.
like she probably heard someone come in
Right.
and immediately turned off the water.
Yeah.
And was just like, I'm just going to
if
stay
I
here
stand
for a while.
really still, she won't see me.
But the whole thing about Betty is that she's just so like, all right, here you are.
Are you okay? Like, yeah, her reaction is not like, oh my God, what are you doing in my aunt's house?
Yeah.
And why are you all naked? It's like, oh my God, what happened to you? Like,
Well, clearly you must be, Aunt Ruth's friend, because
Yeah.
why else would you
Right.
be
Why else
here?
would you be in the
Like,
shower?
that's the simplest, most normal explanation for you being
Yeah,
here. Like,
yeah. And she, like, right away is just like, okay, we're going to figure this out, whatever. Comes out of the shower. She's like, oh, you're hurt. Where are you hurt? And I love how she just, like, gently moves her hair.
Oh.
This gigantic, gnarly bruise on her forehead.
yeah, like, oh, just a little bit. It's just a scratch.
Yeah. She's like, maybe you shouldn't go back
And
to
she's
sleep.
like, I just need to sleep. Like,
At what point, 20 minutes ago, I'm on the phone with the cops. Really?
Yeah.
I'm not, I don't know how much of the benefit of the doubt this
right.
naked woman in my aunt's shower needs. Betty, but it just goes along with Betty's character and
Right.
how, I don't know if it's naivete or what, but she's just willing to go along with it. Mm-hmm. But it kind of like screws her over later on, maybe, with the like casting situation. I have problems with this whole casting audition.
This debacle.
Oh my goodness. Like, I guess we'll get to that a
Yeah.
little later on because we have to talk about the movie that's happening. There's a weird title for the movie.
Oh, I don't remember what
They
it
mention
is.
it.
It's
It's like a
Sheila-
woman's name. Yeah.
like Sylvia North.
Yeah, Sylvia North story or something.
Yeah,
the Sylvia
That's-
North
the
story.
Sylvia North story.
Yeah. It sounds a little Ed Wood.
It seems
to
to be
me.
about some like little cutesy doo-wop singers.
Yeah.
And that's where like the swing dancing in the beginning ties
Okay,
in.
all right. Yeah. And the girls auditioning
In the little recording booth, and they've got their little backup singers.
Yeah, so interesting. Justin Theroux is. I feel like this might have been a very early introduction to Justin Theroux.
He looks
for me.
super young.
Looks
I
so
think
young.
so.
He had already done Sex in the City at this
Yeah.
point.
Okay.
And I think he had done something else that I was familiar with, but it wasn't like
Oh, he's in the Broken Hearts Club.
Broken. Okay,
In
is he one of
99.
the main characters in that?
He's one of the main characters'
He is.
ex-boyfriends.
Yeah. So, but it was like this is pre Charlie's Angels
Yes.
Full Throttle, like America discovering the bod.
The Bob.
The body of Justin Theroux in that movie. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I forgot how hot he is.
I mean,
It was like,
shit.
hi. Like,
yeah.
I know they got your hair
Dated,
spiked up to make you look like a little prick. But,
yeah.
like, you still look
Dated
hot.
Jennifer Aniston for years, too.
Yeah.
And deservedly so.
Yep.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But you're right. In this movie, his look is so specifically early 2000s
And, like,
shithead movie
shithead,
director.
shithead,
Those-
for sure, like LA native
Yeah.
or either LA or New York, just a little brat.
Yes,
Those
brat,
tinted,
yeah.
those tinted glasses.
Which is like,
Yeah.
yeah, what do you need those for? Besides just making you look like a prick.
kind of like
Yeah.
quintessential young director who just sort of had projects handed to him, probably just because
Yeah.
Somebody's
he's-
in the biz. I don't know
he's
if
from
it's
a wealthy
daddy
family
or
in the
Yeah.
industry.
uncle, whatever.
Yeah, for sure.
'Cause he's not trying to compromise on his. You're gonna say this is the girl. It's like no, like he's not having it.
That scene is so tense with Dan Hedaya and the other brother, who is the composer of the
Angelo
movie.
Badalamenti.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yes. Composed
His-
all the music for Twin Peaks.
His score is really beautiful in this movie.
But I do like how quiet it is a lot of the
It's
time.
very quiet.
Which-
Well, it's that weird, like, ambient noise.
Yes.
Too.
Yeah.
That
Yes.
really does it for me.
Yeah, 'cause you can just let it, like, you can just really soak in the weirdness and
Yeah.
tension, and you're not being distracted or told how to feel. You're just like, man, this is super.
Yeah.
Watching the scene, Blake is like, why is it all so weird? Why are they all being so weird?
Yeah. And that's the way Badalamenti scores sound. It's like, is it strings? Is it electronic?
Right.
Strings? Is it live string? Like, you can't tell because it's very, I don't know, it's just this very 90s, like,
Synthy.
synth kind of
Yeah.
sound.
I used to
Yeah,
have
yeah.
I had for the longest time the Twin Peaks score as my ringtone on my phone.
Oh, love that.
It used to wake me up in the morning.
It's iconic.
Okay. There is a version of the Twin Peaks theme song with lyrics. Yeah, it's very interesting.
Who's it sung by?
It's sung by Julie Cruz. And Julie Cruz, I mean, this is like way inside baseball. Julie Cruz replaced Cindy Wilson in the B-52s when Cindy took a break in the late 90s. And she's a very like avant-garde-y kind of like cool like singer.
Cindy Cruz is
Cindy Wilson's the blonde.
Cindy Wilson's the blonde. Okay.
Yeah. So look up the version with lyrics. It's really fun. But yeah. So that's the composer who drinks the espresso and doesn't even spit it out. Just lets it fall. Drools it.
Just falls out of his mouth.
And he
onto
like
his
makes
napkin.
sure he has the napkin. He's like, do you need anything else? Napkin. He's like stressed.
Yeah.
He's like, I already know I'm about to be drooling this out onto the napkin.
And just the way he only says certain things, just words at a time, very low. That like that poor like server is just like,
he's like,
I'm sorry,
what? Like,
yeah.
And that has to be modeled on somebody in Hollywood. That seems to be like a weird like Scott Rudin story or something.
yeah. Some kooky Italian producer or something was just like
probably based on like
De Laurentiis
or something. Yeah.
God. Yeah. Calling Meryl Streep like an ugly cow or something in Italian. But that seems so crazy because like that happens and then like the other producer guy, like they start shaking and they're like, oh fuck, like, oh shit, like this espresso is highly recommended. Like, oh my God. Yeah. Like, they're so afraid of these men and what they're going to do. But it's like, clearly we find out that they've got like this weird cowboy guy who may or may not be a hitman.
Right. Some kind of like guru sensei hitman somewhere in there.
And I thought he was a different actor than he actually is.
And
somebody else.
Okay, so what does this have to do with the casting of the lead in this movie?
They wanted to be this woman. They wanted to be Camilla Rhodes. Whoever Camilla Rhodes is, they're saying it has to be this girl.
They don't give you any other like
no why. There's no why. It's going to be her.
She's going to audition, and you're going to say, "This is the girl."
Yeah. Apparently, he's recasting the lead role in this movie anyway. He's going to be looking for girls, and the two Italian financiers come in and say, "It will be this girl."
Right.
Do you think it's like a mafia connection of this is somebody's niece or daughter?
It's got to be some kind of organized situation.
Or just good old-fashioned nepotism.
There you go. They show
both.
Because they show a headshot in the movie as you're watching it. The headshot's this girl who looks a little Charlize-ish.
Yeah.
This is the
it's a girl who I thought was Rhoda Mitchell, but
Melissa George.
High art, but it's not. It's Melissa George. Okay.
Yep.
We just see the headshot. And you're just like, okay, it's supposed to be her. I don't know if it says Camilla Rhodes on the thing.
It does.
It does.
Yeah.
On the headshot.
It's like a labeled headshot.
Yeah.
You may remember Melissa George from Sugar and Spice. The cheerleader movie where they rob banks.
Yep.
Okay.
Oh, that sounds fun.
we could potentially do it on our show.
Yeah. We're watching the movie last night, and we're continuing Justin Theroux's scenes. Where he's just like super pissed. They're taking his movie away from him. First of all, the golf club. First of all, the golf club in the business meeting.
The fact that he came with it and then he just came with the one and then set out in front of him like a table setting. It's like, did you know you were going to get pissed off after and need to fuck up somebody's car?
And then he goes and hits their limo. Like the two Italian financiers, like, do you think they own this limo?
Or like, do you think care? Do you think they care? They can replace a windshield. I'm sure they'll be just fine after replacing.
Of the rented limo.
Like, all you're doing is just like putting that poor driver at risk for shards of glass in his face.
Yeah. So after all this, he goes back home and Scott's like, do you remember who's at the house? And I was like, I know it's a stunt cast. And I remember that it was somebody funny. I was like, is it like Macho Man Randy Savage?
Even better, Billy Ray Cyrus. I was not
and
ready.
This is
I was not at all ready.
Okay, so I need to... I should have watched this pilot before recording this. I'd be curious to see if Billy Ray was booked for the pilot.
Sure.
And this was included with it. Because I don't know, like Billy just getting out during pilot season.
Yeah, to do this crazy David Lynch
trying a
show.
weirdo
This
David
crazy
Lynch
movie.
movie.
Yeah.
This actress who plays
The wife.
we
Yeah.
were just talking about the In Crowd a few episodes
another
ago,
show, or another
and
episode.
this is Lori Herring from the In Crowd. She's the
Okay.
lead of that movie.
The lead of it. Okay, the In Crowd looked bad.
We are like the official like gatekeepers of the In Crowd,
You
starring Susan Ward and Lori Herring
and the
Yep.
and the wife
and the wife from Mulholland Drive.
That one wife.
Melissa George. Look at that. Oh man, you know what else we have to talk about, which completely threw me for a loop, is the Hitman.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
another one that just kind of gets slipped in there,
Right.
And you're like, what is that? Ooh, what?
And the Hitman scene is very like vignette of just this dummy hitman.
Well, it gave me very like Tarantino.
Yeah.
Totally.
Vibes, right?
Totally.
'Cause
a couple
it-
of greasy dudes
Yeah.
in,
And
in a gross-looking apartment room.
And how it came out so out of left field, and then we
Right.
didn't see him again for a while,
Right.
and all of that.
And you get the woman that like he like
Something
hits-
bit me bad.
He hits with the bullet like the next door. Yeah.
Yeah, but the whole bungled aspect of like everything keeps going wrong,
Yeah.
and you just have to keep.
And I love that he shoots the vacuum cleaner at the end.
which sets off the entire
The
electrical
entire alarm system. And then he goes out to some other, maybe it's the same Winkies, and he meets maybe one of his girls that he's
Yeah.
running. And it's Heather from Showgirls.
Yeah, it's Penny.
Yeah,
Penny, that's right.
Yep. No one wants to fuck a Heather.
Right. Exactly.
It's Pink's Hot Dogs on Melrose.
Gotcha.
and,
Okay, yes.
Highland.
Did she have some like prosthetic nipples on in this?
I mean,
the nips
if
were nipping.
not,
Maybe.
they were.
The nips were
yeah,
nipping.
They were
Like,
in full force.
yeah.
Here's my question. He has one brown eye in the hit scene at the beginning.
But then at the end, he has the two same colored
with
eyes.
Diane.
Yeah.
I was like, something's amiss here.
Okay, this is Mark Pellegrino.
It's Mark Pellegrino, yes. Was he on Lost?
Supernatural.
I want to say he was on Lost, and I want to say he was
I definitely remember.
Jacob on Lost.
I definitely-
Lost fans.
Okay.
Be with me.
I definitely remember him from Capote.
Okay.
He actually, I mean, he's done a lot of TV, actually. He's been on a lot of stuff. Name like a major network. He was on Lost. He was Jacob.
It was Jacob. That's what I said.
Like, name a major network show from the past 20 years, and he's probably done a guest
Mark
spot on
Pellegrino
it.
somewhere lurking in the background.
Yeah, with one brown eye. But my thing is, if the whole half of the movie is, in fact, not... Well, yeah, I don't know.
Is the character of... Oh, God, let me reference... Is the character of Diane, is all of this going on in her head playing out
Right.
with all of these characters off screen? Are you saying that?
Yeah, if she's making this up because she's not there for the Hitman bungled hit scene.
Right.
I mean, you're there for the setup of the hired hitman and also the restaurant.
Yeah.
Those are sort of the connecting
That's a connecting
Yeah.
threads.
issue of that. Sure. The little man in the chair who
Michael J. Anderson, I think.
he is pulling a lot of strings.
Clearly.
But why?
And also not saying very many words to
No,
do it. There's
yeah.
very much an economy of language
Yes.
going on in this studio underworld.
So I'm watching this, and he's in this room that's like red. It looks like a recording booth or something.
Like everything's been taken out. It was
Yeah.
also like totally reminded me of Twin Peaks right away.
Absolutely.
Not
Yeah.
like the same
Very
guy,
Twin
but
Peaks
just
vibes.
solitary in a
Yeah.
weird room.
Well,
and it's all very red, and there is a blue lamp, and it's just one little, and it's one of those old-fashioned like 1950s table lamps with the glass over it, and the glass is blue, and it's very stark contrast to the rest of the
Yeah.
color in the room, which is more like a red kind of a color. And so right away I'm like, okay, blue things, we're looking out for blue things, what's going on? Is blue the key to this like dream world situation, which ultimately
it could be argued that it is, yeah.
the color of the box
But-
that they
And the
find.
key.
Yeah.
and that big, weird, funky looking key. But the man in the chair, like I said, well, like we were talking about, he's in Twin Peaks, and in Twin Peaks, the actor, he's a little person.
Yeah.
He's small. And I didn't really notice it, but in the IMDb trivia, it said that he's sitting in this chair and he has prosthetic arms and legs to make him look average size.
Right.
And he just has his little teeny head.
It's like when Lord Farquaad has has the suit of armor with the extra legs.
Absolutely. And I didn't really notice it too much as we were watching it. You do feel like something is a little off.
The proportions are a little...
Yeah. Because he's just sitting there and he's not really moving too much.
Right. Because you could pretty much... You can move your head. And that's about it before it starts to look too weird.
So that was like a very interesting thing that they're like, okay, we're going to make him look average height. But he doesn't have like dwarfism. So because I feel like dwarfism is like their head...
The proportions.
Yeah, the proportions different. So his... type of whatever affliction that he has to make him a little person, he's like just small. Yeah. So his proportions are like an average height person, just small size. So making him look average height makes his head look really teeny. Yeah. So I thought that was such a crazy, interesting choice. But his whole situation is like, what? Who is this man? What is he doing?
Who is this?
What's going on
I
in
still
this
don't
room?
know.
I still don't know.
And you never will.
And how it ties into everything. But I'm telling you, the blue lamp. The blue lamp has to be a clue.
Yeah.
Scott, can we talk about some clues?
Okay, so apparently on the DVD release of Mulholland Drive, there is a card inside of David Lynch's 10 clues to unlocking this thriller.
Ooh, okay.
The clues are, number 1, pay particular attention in the beginning of the film. At least 2 clues are revealed before the credits.
But
Do you remember?
aren't the credits the swing dancing? What's before that?
I don't remember. I guess I wasn't paying
the
attention.
logo? I don't know what.
Okay,
That
so
doesn't help.
Pete, number 2, notice appearances of the red lampshade.
Okay.
But the lampshade's blue in the man's room.
Oh, yeah. Is there a lampshade?
Maybe in Aunt Ruth's
There
place.
has
In
to be a
Aunt Ruth's
red
place?
lampshade
Okay.
Yeah.
somewhere. There
Or
has
in
to be.
one of the various apartment complexes
So many
that they're sneaking
apartments.
into
Number-
sleeping
Breaking
in.
and entering.
Number 3, can you hear the title of the film that Adam Kessler is auditioning actresses for? Is it mentioned again? We mentioned that before, right?
Yes, it's mentioned at the very end at the dinner party.
Mm-hmm. And it's the Diane Linkletter story. What is it?
Is it the Sylvia North?
The Sylvia North story. Yeah.
An accident is a terrible event. Notice the location of the accident.
Mulholland Drive.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, okay.
But
I get that
it's
one.
right in. No, but it's. We find out that it's right in front of the director's house.
Oh, sure. Yeah, that's
She
right.
comes
Yes.
out of the bushes and she's like, "We're going to take a shortcut."
Yes.
And
Because,
just go up.
I mean, she would have had to been leaving the party.
Or
That-
getting to the
or
party.
going
She was going
at
to the party.
Wait a minute. Is she at the party, though?
Well, the crash doesn't really happen. There is no. I don't think there is a crash. I think the crash is part of Betty, who doesn't exist. Because, okay, if our accepted explanation is that Diane Selwyn is the real character.
Yeah.
And she kind of either came up with the idea of Betty as this idealized version of herself,
Yeah.
or maybe Betty is an earlier version of herself.
Right. The version that gets to be with
Yes, with
gets to be with
Rita
her.
/ Camilla.
Rita / Camilla.
There really isn't a Rita
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
it's Camilla the whole time.
Yeah.
So she's just figuring out a way for these people in her life to kind of be a little bit more, I don't know, for her life to be more successful or happy or something.
To achieve a goal that she's not able to
Yeah.
achieve in her real
Yeah.
life, because the woman that she loves is with the director, but in this first version that we see, she's put in a position where she can like rescue her.
Yes, yes.
And they can have like a steamy makeout sesh
Yes.
in her aunt's bed later.
Yes.
I think you guys cracked
No
it.
top.
You cracked the code.
Like, I really want to make out with this girl. How do I?
Number 5, who gives a key and why?
Gives a key?
Because the hitman
gives
gives a key to Diane later
to signal that the hit is complete.
Has done, but then also Rita has the key.
She has it in her purse. Yeah, with
just the key.
Yeah. Well, with the money.
The key and the money, and then the box comes later.
Yeah.
The magical puzzle box.
All right, let me quickly go through the other one. Notice the robe, the ashtray, and the coffee cups. I was definitely noticing the ashtray.
The ashtrays, definitely.
Well, it was a piano.
Mm-hmm.
Because the one woman took it, but then later on it was back.
It's back. So
there was a piano one, and there was kind of like a patchwork quilt.
And so you sort of get like a timeline of when those would have taken place.
Robe, I don't know.
And then there's like the super luxurious robe that Betty puts down on top of Rita when she's sleeping, and then later when she's Diane, presumably she's wearing kind of like a ratty, like beigey,
oh, that's
robe.
right.
It's
okay, robes.
Nowhere near as luxe as the first robe.
No.
What is felt, realized, and gathered at Club Silencio?
Felt, realized, and gathered. Oh my goodness, what isn't felt at Club Silencio?
That is a better question.
Definitely the scene that's kind of the most left up into interpretation for the viewer is anything that is at Club Silencio. And the weird singer.
The woman with the blue hair. Also blue again. She's got blue hair. And she says, Silencio.
Well, and it's another instance of David Lynch using a Roy Orbison song. And Blue Velvet. Blue Velvet he has In Dreams.
That's right.
And then, this is... I think that this Spanish cover of this song is so beautiful.
Oh, my God. So good. And
I love her amazing, like, fiery phoenix eye makeup situation she has going on. And I just...
Her Tina Burner... her Tina Burner eyes. Yeah. That was really
scene
good.
is so, like, striking.
Number 8, did talent alone help Camilla? Well, I mean, it helped that she probably had mob connections.
Camilla? Yeah. I don't think talent helped. Yeah.
Who knows? Could be looks, could be the mob, could be that you're sleeping with the director. It's really...
Maybe Dan Hedea's her dad. I don't know.
Yeah, take your pick.
Well, they were there at the party at the very end.
Right.
At least, both of them were, along with the cowboy.
Note the occurrences surrounding the man behind Winkies. I mean,
see the man behind Winkies. The sea hag is intended to be a man.
Isn't the occurrences the
dream coming to life?
The dream coming to life.
And then at the very end.
The old couple coming out of the box. Or did they come out of the box? He puts the box
in like a paper bag
with a bunch of gross stuff in it.
Yeah.
And then it drops it on the ground.
Walks
and then
out
they
of
walk.
The bag.
Yeah. I don't know. That part was also creepy.
And number 10, the most important question of all, where is Aunt Ruth? She's making a movie in Canada, right? Or is she?
Aunt Ruth?
Yeah, she's making a movie somewhere.
Kind of in the switch from timeline 1 to timeline 2. You do see Aunt Ruth, like she comes home and she opens the door to like her empty bedroom, but like made up just as it was. Like there hadn't been people living there or anything like that.
But she does look a little bit confused, though. She does kind of look like...
I think so. But yeah, she just pops in for a second, and that's really the last that you see of her.
I don't know. So where is it? Where are we supposed to figure that she is? Now I'm more confused. Those clues didn't help at all.
These clues didn't help at all.
Get me David Lynch on the phone. I mean, did the mystery of Mulholland Drive... I mean, I think like we were saying, the most widely accepted one is what we were saying about Diane. And just like after the box was opened. Well, it's also kind of crazy that once they get back from Club Silencio and they have the key, put it in the box, and then just like Naomi Watts walks to one side of the bed and behind, out of frame of the camera, and then she's just gone.
Yeah, just like calling her name.
Yeah, Betty. Yeah, and then she's just gone.
And then she opens the box, or Rita opens the box, and she's sucked inside.
Sucked into the box. Yeah,
I hate when that happens.
I know, it's never fun. And then we get a whole other set of like, well, the first instance of when we do see Diane Selwyn, because they're at the coffee shop and she sees the
waitress's name. She kind of has a brain blast.
The waitress's name is Betty.
Well,
by
first
the
time
end.
it's Diane,
The first
right?
time
Oh,
it's Diane,
sure.
because that's
Yeah.
what causes Rita to have
Oh,
like
sure,
a,
yeah.
She says,
my
Diane
name.
Selwyn, yeah.
If I'm not her, maybe I know her.
Yeah. And when we go to the house and they do their first instance of B&E,
And then they find
find
Diane
the dead body.
The body.
in a stage
Yep.
of
Oh my
decomposition.
gosh. Yeah. And the weird, like, neighbor.
The vibes are off.
So
the vibes
off,
are
yeah.
They
off.
switched
from
apartments.
jump. Like,
Why?
And like she's being like weirdly like kind of hostile,
Yeah.
menacing about it. Like,
And she looks,
I'm gonna go over there with you.
Yeah.
And then the phone rings and she doesn't, but it's like, what's your angle? Like,
and she looks at Rita like,
like
you
maybe,
again.
Yeah. Like it's,
So it's, the vibes are definitely off. That's one. But, and then, we see the body and all that stuff.
So I guess the main relationship in this movie of Diane and Camilla as sort of being lovers, and then Camilla kind of burns her. She burns her to get ahead.
Yeah.
Because she gets the role.
Yeah.
She sort of taunts her on set when she's sitting next to the character of
she
Adam,
specifically
played by Justin
asks if she
Theroux.
can stay on set when they
Yeah.
ask for the set to be cleared.
So
I want you to see.
Here's my question. And like, let's just say this is the actual timeline. This is really what's going on, where Naomi Watts is Diane Selwyn, and she knows Rita. They were having this affair. And Diane even says at the party, she really wanted that part.
Yeah.
She really wanted the lead, but Camilla got it. Was all the stuff with the Italian brothers forcing him to hire Camilla, taking away all of his money,
Yeah,
like
I think
ruining
so.
his line of credit?
Right.
That
Yep.
actually did happen to the real quote-unquote Camilla and
Right.
director in the end timeline.
Yeah.
But it happened. He hires her, and then they ultimately become a couple.
Right.
Yeah.
So I guess it didn't work out too bad for,
Yeah,
for
yeah.
Adam Kesher after all.
I guess he got his, his line of credit was restored
Yeah.
after he
And he's
hired
got a
her
hot girlfriend.
and so okay, I wasn't sure if it was a situation where did that even happen anymore.
Yeah.
But I guess it did because the two
'Cause she gets the
financiers,
part.
she gets the part, and the financiers are at the party,
Right.
And the cowboy walks through the back of the party,
Right, and things are okay, and they're not like coming for Adam's kneecaps
Yes,
or anything
yeah,
like
his
that.
thumbs,
So
yeah.
presumably he behaved.
Yeah. Well, the other thing is the cowboy said, if you follow the
good-
directions, you'll see me one more time,
And if you're
not,
bad,
you'll see me
you'll
two
see me
more
two
times.
times.
So is this the one more time that he sees him? Because he's there at the party.
Right.
Yeah, I think so.
it must
He
be
did do good, so it must be.
the one time. Because he's there. So I'm like, okay. So all that stuff still happened,
Yeah.
but so ultimately, just there is no Betty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Betty's just a version of Diane that gets to do things that Diane is not able
And
to.
Diane
Right.
is sort of the real broken dreams of
Yeah.
Yes.
Betty.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you arrive in LA as Betty and you
leave
turn
as
into Diane.
I actually think the scenes of Naomi Watts as Diane when she's about to go to the party, I think she looks very, very beautiful.
She does.
Yeah.
Little crazed look in the eyes.
Her
styling, poster, isn't it?
Yep.
That's the poster?
I mean, there's many posters. Of this
There's
movie,
many
but it's-
posters,
but it's
yeah.
one
The
of
hair's a
them.
bit
yeah.
different. Like,
Do you know who else was on? What other look was on the poster, which is very interesting to sell
Laura
your movie
Herring
with?
in the wig?
It's Laura Herring in the wig.
Yeah.
that
crazy
wig,
blonde wig.
That wig. You guys, they spent all their money on the locations, and they had to go to Party City
Yeah,
to get a
to
shake
get
and
that.
go. to get a $6 shake and they couldn't even dry shampoo it to make it not look so shiny.
Yeah. I love the scene too where she's like she's gonna cut her hair off in the sink.
I know what you have to do, but let me do
it.
you.
Was
like, pick a wig?
Put a wig on her.
Let's just go out to Hollywood Boulevard and buy
I
a
know,
wig.
Like,
Well, my other question too was maybe this is Aunt Ruth's wig, where
ooh, good
all
call.
of Rita's clothes. I don't know that those were all Betty's clothes.
No.
Was she wearing Ruth's clothes?
Because what Betty arrives in LA and is she got it with her Kohl's cash. It
Oh
seems.
yeah, absolutely. This
Was like-
sweater set
Was like Rita wandering around town in this like halter top From Aunt Ruth? I don't know.
Because all
Aunt
the clothes
Ruth could have an evening dress from when she was a hot little number a couple decades ago.
Yeah.
She's in the biz.
Yeah, because all Rita had on her was the dress and her DKNY bag. Yeah, full of cash. Or maybe they took the cash and did a little shopping spree. We just didn't see it. Because all of a sudden Rita's got like costume changes galore,
and they all look amazing on her. And Naomi's in her like V-neck and jeans and chunky Asics.
Yes.
Like
And also they're like Naomi Watts is she was a little teenier.
Oh, she's so teeny.
Like. So I don't think any of her clothes would have fit Rita either. Anyway, so it's
they wouldn't have been doing what what she wanted the clothes to do.
Yeah. So, but the scene with the wig and the wig change and all of that, and then she's like, "I gotta wear the wig to bed."
She's like, "You can take it off to sleep,"
Yeah. But which leads to a very spicy. Scene. Oh my!
I was going to
goodness.
say we have to talk about the sex scene. I mean, there's been a lot of queer writing on this movie of just sort of mainstream independent film that has a scene with two women like this.
Yeah.
Because you really don't see a lot of scenes like this in major movies.
Yeah.
No, and it didn't feel to me like. It was like watching like the sex scenes and like blue is the warmest color is like, I know for a fact that a straight man was like,
exactly.
angled but this, it didn't feel, it felt like soft and like tender and not too like, too corny or whatever.
Totally.
Like it was I think I'm in love with you. That threw me off.
That one, I was like, what?
And like, Rita's just going to not even respond. We're just going to if I keep making out with you long enough, hopefully you'll stop talking.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, hey, we've all been there.
Hey, sometimes you try to play it cool.
Yeah.
There's a hot woman in your bed, and 10 seconds in, you accidentally tell her that you're in love with her.
All the questions and crazy things that this movie throws at us. That's the one thing that we're all like, wait a minute. I've got something that's not realistic about this movie. That was wild. But I mean, I don't know how like bro-y straight guys who like love like Gia aren't like, oh, we gotta watch is that Mulholland Drive.
Yeah.
Because you know how straight guys love Gia. Like they have that whole like, man, it's Angelina Jolie like getting railed against a chain link fence, and you're like, all right, calm down.
Yeah,
she's getting raped half the time.
And I want to say that I watched this movie with my parents.
Oh, geez.
And I may have just sort of blocked out the entire like.
Yeah. You went and made a sandwich during
I don't know.
Well, instead of having it where you're watching it and your parents inevitably come in the moment the sex scene starts.
Oh, yeah.
If you just have them there the whole time, then
okay, so I'm assuming that if I would have watched it with my mom and my stepdad, my mom would have fallen asleep in the first 30 minutes of the movie. But I feel like, I don't know, like
Don would have stayed away.
I could watch this with like my stepdad and it wouldn't be weird.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
But it's so interesting that, I mean, even over 20 years later, I think that we've kind of taken a few step backs that I don't think that you get this scene.
No way.
If Mulholland Drive is made in like a glossy A24 movie. No. That's the thing is that like if Mulholland Drive is made in 2022, it's an A24 movie, looks like immaculate.
Right.
And it probably doesn't have this scene in it.
Or
probably not.
Or it's a limited series.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or he actually gets like the go ahead to make a multi-episode
and gets to explore the different arcs that he may have been thinking about.
And also one of the benefits of not having this be on network television is that you can have a scene like this.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. But you're right. I don't think that this scene would be included in this movie if it were made today. Which is like, I don't know. It's so crazy how like we've gotten so much more puritanical like movie standards. Like, how does that work? You would think like in the 70s and the 80s it'd be like more, I don't know,
buttoned up. But now, we're circling back.
We're going
for sure.
so much backwards.
Well, I don't know if we talked about this when we did our "But I'm a Cheerleader" episode. But what was going to have that movie be NC-17 was they showed more of her, of Natasha Lyonne, like touching herself.
Oh,
yeah.
right.
But they cut that out to make it an R, which is like, what is so?
Yeah.
Like, people getting blown up is fine. All good. PG-13. But a woman enjoying consensual self-pleasure, that's where we draw the line, buddy. Like,
in this movie, you get both. You get
oh, man.
You get masturbation and you get the sex scene. Yeah.
Was this movie rated R? Or is it just unrated?
I think it was rated R,
think
and I
it's
mean,
R,
I'm
yeah.
sure
Wow.
that they had back and forths with
Right.
the MPAA at the time.
Yeah.
Of what they
I
could
feel
and
like they
couldn't
go
include.
pretty further than something like, but I'm a cheerleader. Wow. Insane.
Another but I'm a cheerleader is connection is so Adam Kesher, the director, Justin Theroux's character, is on the phone with his receptionist. And she's like, "Oh, come to the office. We have to." But right after he figures out, they're like trying to. They've shut all his stuff down.
Yeah.
She's like, "Come to the office. We have to figure this out." And his receptionist is Sinead, the goth one
Get
that
right
likes
out of
that likes
town.
pain.
Okay.
Catherine Town.
I
I saw her face and I was
recognized her,
like,
yeah.
"Where are you from?"
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, you're right. Because I was doing the same thing. I was like, I know this
I
chick,
know this
but I don't
face.
know from
Yeah.
where. Okay, I should have looked her up. All right, Sinead.
I'm Sinead. I like pain.
Oh my god. I feel like, but I'm a cheerleader's been kind of having a moment lately.
It has been having a moment lately. They're showing it at Hollywood Forever.
Yeah.
This month.
I feel like the meme of "I'm a homosexual" has been kind of going around this Pride season. That's been kind of making the rounds.
Peaches Christ, All About Evil just got a big re-release on Blu-ray. Have you heard about All About Evil?
With Natasha.
It's this crazy independent movie that she did, directed by the drag queen Peaches Christ.
Okay.
It is Natasha and Mink Stole.
What year is this from?
This is from 2010.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it is set in a movie theater in San Francisco.
Yeah.
And she inherits this movie theater from her father, and it's about to close, and she resorts to murder to keep it open. And she sort of films these sort of snuff films of her murdering people.
And marketing them as
she
new horror movies.
markets them as these horror shorts.
What a girl boss. I love
Yeah.
that for her.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, super fun.
Yeah. And Jinx Monsoon made some "But I'm a Cheerleader" references in this new season of Drag Race.
Have you seen that?
Don't,
I have not.
Don't tell Mom the babysitter's a lesbian.
Yeah. Jinx Monsoon did Natasha as a Snatch Game character, and it's really funny.
I love
Yeah,
that.
yeah. So yeah, go watch "But I'm a Cheerleader" and then go listen to that episode.
And then
It's
watch
really
Mulholland
fun.
Drive.
And then watch Mulholland Drive and listen to this episode. In that order.
I would like to talk a little bit about kind of one of my first draws to this movie, I feel like was Naomi Watts.
Yeah.
That I think that it is a big star-making role for her.
Definitely.
Because she went from B actress to
Yeah.
pretty much the A-list in this movie.
Yeah.
And I remember reading about her in magazines about sort of her big discovery in this movie with David Lynch. I remember seeing her on Rosie O'Donnell at the time when she was doing marketing for this movie.
Yeah.
I mean, talk about a movie that I don't know what our Ro thought of this movie.
Why is Rosie pushing this movie on her daytime afternoon talk show?
But yeah, I remember Naomi on Rosie, and she mentioned Mulholland Drive, and she just said, "I'm making this really scary movie right now."
Referencing The Ring.
Referencing The Ring.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, I'm going to put that in the back of my mind.
Yeah.
I'm going to be looking forward to this horror movie in 2002 with Naomi Watts.
Yeah. I mean, I had seen Tank Girl, but I didn't put two and two together.
I mean, Tank
that
Girl
was
at the
her.
time was her most successful movie.
Yeah.
And Tank Girl's a pretty it was a pretty 90s underground movie.
Yeah.
And Naomi Watts talks a lot about her struggles in Hollywood and the audition process. She didn't have the Nicole Kidman storyline. She had the Diane Selwyn.
Diane Selwyn.
Yeah, and
Diane Selwyn arc.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that they're old friends. They knew each other from school in Australia.
Oz.
Okay, that's right. I thought Naomi Watts was an Aussie. Okay.
So yeah, I mean, she just spent years auditioning in Los Angeles and not really breaking through. And she got a meeting with David Lynch, and it all changed.
Yeah. And I mean, this performance is crazy because she's
there's so many layers to it.
Yeah.
Right. And you see so many different shades of her. I'm thinking about the episode where, as Betty, she's auditioning.
Oh my God.
For that. I feel like she was acting for her life.
Yeah.
The rent was due.
Tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah. With Chris Everett, that tan.
So tan.
Crazy
super tan.
Not Chris Everett. What's his name? Chris Everett was a tennis player.
Are you talking about
the man from Psycho?
The man from Psycho 2?
Yeah. Not Psycho 2.
No, not Psycho 2. I meant Psycho 1998.
Remake, yeah. Maybe his name is Chris Everett, the same as the 1980s tennis superstar. Yeah, that audition scene, it's insane because it's like...
It's interesting to watch it when you see the men's reaction to it and then the women's reaction to it. Of when they take her out of... Like, sorry that you had to go through that. You were really good, but did you check out, like, those 3 dummies? Do you actually think they're going to get this movie made?
I mean, okay. So, it's like, Betty is like Betty. She's this character that we've established is just head in the clouds. Mm-hmm. I'm here in La La Land, and I'm going to make it. She goes in, does this audition. We see her running lines with Rita.
And the energy is very, very different.
Very different. Goes in, this actor is just like completely inappropriate with her.
I want to play it real close. It's like
Chad Everett.
Chad
like
Everett.
how he did it with the other girls.
Yeah.
I play it real
well,
close.
the other thing
yuck.
too is like the producer walks her in, and he has his hand on her lower back the entire time.
You know how every woman that you don't know loves when you put your hand on her lower back.
And I'm thinking, when he brings in male actors to read, is his hands on them at any point of this audition process? No. 0.00 time.
And when that like
spent
Chad Everett
them.
guy is doing scenes with male actors, he's not breathing into their
playing
mouths.
It close and breathing into their mouths.
Literally.
And he brings this woman in, and he brings her in. And he's got his hand on her lower back, and he's just like,
well, and
this is
the whole
Betty.
premise of this scene that they're doing is
the father's best friend. What
crazy
is this movie?
Yeah. Like why are you trying to make this movie?
And I specifically remember watching it the first time, and that's one thing that stuck with me about it is just like, whoa, how like her as Betty just like turns this, like
he starts to like reach for her butt, but then she puts his hand on her butt.
Man, yeah. So wild. And then like you said, like all the men are just like, oh my God, so great. And they walk, and this other woman in the scene who's this casting director, he says she's a big time casting director. She's not casting this movie, but she's just here. She's like, I'm going to walk her out.
Yeah.
I'm walking her out.
I'm going to take her somewhere
You're coming
else.
with me.
Yep.
Yeah.
You're not going to make this movie. We're going to go
These
meet
guys
this director.
Are gross.
Yeah.
I'm taking you to the other lot.
We're going to go to the other lot. We're going to talk to this other director, and we're going to have a meeting right now. And she's like, oh, but I have a thing that I need to get to.
But then she runs out of this. She is not cool about it at all.
Zero chill.
She
just
doesn't get a full sentence like, oh, I'm so sorry. I have to. She's just like, I gotta go. Like,
I gotta go talk to this strange woman who I think I'm falling in love with after 2 days, and who broke into my
I have to pick up my amnesiac girlfriend.
That was wild. I was like, bitch. No wonder you turned into Diane Selwyn. You are not getting cast.
When she walks in, her and Justin Theroux lock eyes, and there's a moment, and there's very clearly this tension between them.
Yes.
And you think oh, this could be her getting, this could be the start of something amazing for Betty. But then she just bolts out.
Yeah,
gotta go.
And in all of this scene, it's girls, women doing. It looks like are they auditioning? Because they're in full costume and makeup.
That they're auditioning.
They are.
Yeah. For which. I guess turns out to be this movie because the original
Camilla Rhodes on the headshot that we see in the first part, she's auditioning.
She comes in.
And she's doing all right.
Yeah, she's
fine.
Yeah.
But, it seems like he clearly likes the girl who auditioned before more. They have, they're friends already. She did a great job. And then he's kind of watching her, and you can kind of see him,
this is the
settle,
girl.
steel himself to make this call. This is the girl.
Yeah. So all that stuff is just like, what's going on?
It's a lot that this movie is throwing at you.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. The crazy tone shift in her acting ability based on what we think we're going to get from Betty.
Right.
Yeah.
And then what?
You really get an amazing range from Naomi in this movie. I was really I'm glad to have rewatched. I was really, really impressed.
Yeah.
I wish that she would have been nominated for Best Actress in 2001.
I think she totally should have.
Yeah.
She totally should have. It figures that she wasn't just because I don't think that your main acting branch were really that open-minded with then somebody that was pretty unknown. But that said, it's a star-making performance.
It is. Yeah.
Totally agree.
So,
Yeah.
It's like Naomi's career was completely different.
And it's in a
after
David
this
Lynch movie. He's
Yep.
established. People
Right.
know who he is.
That's
So
a
it's
big,
not like...
that's a big like leg up for a
Yeah.
young actor.
I
for
mean,
sure.
like, she could have taken Judi Dench's spot from Iris.
Iris was that year?
Yeah.
Oh, God, I feel like it was later. Okay.
No, Iris was 2001.
Wow.
I mean, yeah, The Ring, 2002.
Yeah. The Ring's so good.
The Ring is awesome. I think that she's really good in, like, I Heart Huckabees. I think that she's really funny in it. Very sort of underrated comedic timing of Naomi Watts.
I haven't rewatched I Heart Huckabees in a long time because I'm still in a fight with David O. Russell.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's a movie that sort of probably when I revisit it now, I could see us probably getting really upset with it.
Yeah.
Of like trying to sit down and watch it.
And he just like
now.
horribly mistreated Lily Tomlin on the
Yeah.
set. Like, come on. It's fucking Lily
Don't
Tomlin.
mistreat Lily Tomlin.
Do not
She's a-
call
Have you-
her name.
Legend.
Have you seen those videos?
No,
It's
I haven't.
awful.
I don't
There's-
know. I haven't seen
There's
the
like
movie, and I'm
set
not aware
there's
of
set
this.
videos of David O. Russell screaming at Lily Tomlin.
No.
And he calls
Yeah.
her a cunt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she doesn't leave the set or anything.
No.
It's crazy.
And
I'm
Jason
like,
Schwartzman's
why?
like sitting in a chair, like trying to become like invisible.
mortified.
Yeah. It's so nuts. That's why I'm in a
You
fight with
gotta
David O.
be a
Russell.
real piece of work to look Lily Tomlin in the eyes and call her the C word.
This is what I'm saying. Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, that's why. That's why I
you're
haven't-
far gone at that point. Like,
Yeah. That's why I'm like, I saw that in the theater before I knew all this stuff, and I'm
right,
okay.
and now I can't enjoy it anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, back to Naomi Watts. I mean, she's an actress that's had a lot of highs and a lot of lows.
Yeah.
Usually when Naomi Watts is in a bad movie, it's usually a real bad movie.
Like Diana.
Like Diana. Or like Gus Van Sant's Sea of Trees.
I don't even know what that is.
Yeah. Sort of like, usually when she, like, makes a bad movie, it's usually
Yeah.
like...
she's going to knock
It's
it out of the
usually
park
pretty bad.
in whatever
And how bad
direction.
it is, Yeah, because I feel like she is, like you said, she got kind of catapulted into the A-list out of relative obscurity and has done these big movies, but I still don't think it's like, oh, Naomi Watts is up there with, you know.
Naomi Watts still has
Like
to
a Reese
hustle.
Witherspoon,
Like, she
yeah.
still has to, like, hustle to
Yeah.
still get work, I think. Mhm.
Yeah,
Has
totally.
she been in anything recently?
I feel like I do not remember the last thing that I...
She did. Well, she was also in the Game of Thrones pilot that they did
that's
not pick
right.
up
Yeah.
because they did one rough cut of a pilot for. I mean,
For the like prequel.
now
kind
it's
of-
called House
Yeah.
of Dragons, but back then it was
Okay.
called something very different.
Yeah.
and I think that she shot scenes of it,
Okay.
and they
Okay.
decided to go in a very
Or
different
I
direction.
think
with it.
actually what happened is that it was a whole different storyline. Like
Okay.
they just completely scrapped what
They're
they were
like, yeah,
doing
we're
with
not
that,
doing that.
and they said we're going to do this House of Dragons thing
Oh,
instead.
she's going to be in a new season of Feud.
Okay, what is the feud?
Babe Paley.
Babe Paley. I'm not familiar with Babe Paley, but we'll figure that out. Okay, well, I mean, we're still in the Naomi Watts fan club.
Yeah, yeah, she's great.
Yeah,
Like, I love her.
I don't think you necessarily have to go and watch Tank Girl, but it's really fun.
Yeah, it's been on my list for a while.
Oh,
Yeah.
so the second season of Feud that Ryan Murphy is doing and Gus Van Sant is directing, it is going to be called Capote's Women.
Oh,
Based on the book Capote's Women, a true story of love, betrayal, and a swan song for the era. Yeah, so it's going to be about sort of these women surrounding Truman Capote.
I wonder what
These
the
like
feud is.
New York society women.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because he was like friends with a lot of.
Sigourney Weaver played the character this woman in Infamous.
Okay, sure. Yep.
And yeah, she was in the Halston show, but I'm not familiar with the actress. But yeah, Babe Paley was a socialite.
Capote's Women
Okay.
will be set in the 1970s and will tell the story how the author had a bitter falling out with a number of New York society women,
Okay.
including Barbara Babe Paley.
Okay.
Interesting.
All right.
That's
All right, Naomi,
like
we see
that's
you.
like that's good work for her.
Yeah.
That's a good gig.
Yeah, totally.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we love it. We'll be there for that. I wonder who's playing Truman.
Yeah, I don't think it's been.
Interesting.
I don't think it's out yet.
All right. Well, I mean, this movie is. I've heard it being referred to as a Mobius strip, which is kind of like an infinite loop wrapping back in and around itself, which makes a little bit of sense.
Definitely, yeah. You can't get just one side of a Mobius strip.
Yeah,
It's
yes.
an infinite loop.
It's all one side.
It's all one side, baby.
Yeah. So that kind of makes sense. I mean, the dream kind of motif is there from the very beginning. What's dreams? What's reality? But I mean, all these years later, it's still fun to watch and try to decipher.
Yeah.
It's
more meaning.
It's kind of one of those movies. I experienced this with a movie like Vertigo. That if it's been long enough since I've watched it, I'll forget some of the plot of it. Yeah. So as you're watching it, it's like you're watching it for the first time. Just because this movie's so intricate. Yeah. For me, it sort of leaves my mind pretty quickly. Mm-hmm. And then when
it's hard to pin down.
And then when I revisit it, it's fun to reconnect those pieces of moments of the movie that you forgot about. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I'm like that with Vertigo.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, that's a kooky one. But yeah, I feel like definitely that dinner party scene at the end is very much like, and you were there, and you were there, mm-hmm. and you were there too.
It's so uncomfortable. Yeah. She's like, because I don't know why they invited this poor girl to this occasion
just to rub it in her face.
And she's like about to cry the whole last time.
I mean, I think that was the idea.
Verge of tears.
I know. It's just,
of it.
That was so uncomfortable for me.
But I think for me, once we see who we knew was Coco,
right,
and now she's his mother, you're like, that for me was like, okay.
Yeah.
She cast this fantasy with the people.
There's so many levels of casting going on.
Yes. Diane is casting this fantasy or a false memory or whatever with characters that populate her real life.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So to come up with this, and is it just because sometimes that happens in our dreams? Sometimes we see somebody in our dream that we know from something else, and they're doing something completely different. So maybe it was just a dream and not just some fantasy in her head. But that moment, that party was when I was like, okay, now I'm starting to kind of see,
where this cast of this kooky cast of characters has come from.
And again, this is just the most widely accepted kind of interpretation of this movie.
I was thinking, I've always kind of thought, is the man behind the restaurant actually her? Is it actually
you've always told me that the sea hag is Naomi Watts.
That's the third stage.
Is the sea hag
you come
Naomi
to LA
Watts?
as Betty. You're in the mid phase of your life. You're Diane, and eventually you're old Greg behind the dumpster.
Yep.
Oh my god. Yeah. Oh god. I still don't like looking at that sea hag when she comes out.
And how that scene is shot and cut is so brilliant.
Yeah.
Because you think the shot is gonna pan for a little longer, and then the sea hag just
you never
comes right out in the frame.
You're expecting it, but you still really don't fully expect it.
Yeah.
Totally. And just like the shock of terror in his face when he sees her.
Man, he completely just ton of bricks. Oh my god. Yeah, but difficult to explain, but just like still fun to watch.
Yeah.
Still just really satisfying.
Totally. And like we mentioned before, even at its most basic surfacey level, which is kind of the element of like the detective story of these two women, it's still really fun to watch.
Yeah. I enjoyed a lot of the Wikipedia page is very long, but
I'm sure.
Yeah, but I'm the type of person who loves reading all that stuff, right? So I love the descriptions of like if it is a fantasy or a dream that Betty is having, that the characters in it are these kind of like movie archetypes. Yeah. Like Rita is this femme fatale character, and Betty is like the naive, like you know. Fresh off the
neighborhood, girl next door.
Yeah,
type.
Girl next door, exactly. Yeah. And so that's really fun too, because it's like it knows it's a movie, and because it's set in Los Angeles and Mulholland Drive,
and that like works within it.
Yeah. So I loved all that. Like, it's these are these archetypes of like an older, like a noir movie.
Totally.
Yeah, and the score and the soundtrack and the way it's shot in these dark rooms and all this stuff. It is such like this really cool like modern noir movie, right? Yeah.
And I feel like if Betty and Rita were two guys, this movie doesn't happen because guys aren't that nice to each other.
No.
It's a movie about girls and girls. This is like the girls that you meet in the bathroom at the bar and who have all the nice things to say to you. Is like this only works with girls. Like
yeah. If it was like if it's like one like I don't know, straight guys keep bats next to their beds.
Right.
For this reason.
For this
So,
exact reason.
Beat the shit out of the person that like broke into the house.
Or it's
and
like,
is
oh
gonna
man,
take
I got
a
in the
shower.
car. I don't know who I am. Oh, that sucks, dude. Like,
Either that or they just become best friends for no reason. Based on
that's true.
nothing.
Based on absolutely nothing.
We're friends now. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I found this guy bleeding from the head in a ditch, and now we're best bros. So,
Yeah, there's also that aspect of dumb straight guys.
And definitely a level of intimacy that you don't see in a lot of movies.
No.
With
Yeah.
the connection of these two characters. And
Yeah.
I love that. It's very moving.
it is. I totally agree with you.
Yeah. I love how it kind of starts off in this like their whole girl detective situation, but then it kind of elevates to this other
Yeah.
this other level. But yeah, really good interaction between the two of them and their characters, and good work from both of them. And yeah, I don't know. I do want to see Laura Herring in more stuff. She's so good.
Well,
Forgot about her.
We'll have to watch Father of the Bride.
We'll go watch Willard and then Father of the Bride, the new Father of the Bride.
Man, I remember when Willard was coming out. I remember our theater they had the same 4 trailers that would be played in front of each movie
Oh, God.
for a series of like 3 months, and Willard was always there. Always.
Man.
Haunting.
It's such a weird
Willard
movie. Why
always
did they
played
have
before
it?
any movie at
It
the
looked-
Judah Theater in like early 2003.
Why did they have that trailer in Lewistown? Like they were ever going to get Willard?
They had the like Castiglione brothers pushing Willard. This is the trailer.
You're gonna play the trailer. Oh my god! Well, Mulholland Drive, awesome movie.
Yeah, so good. Thank
We
you
love
for like wanting to do this movie. I forget what the
Yeah,
other
thanks
ones
for
that we were
bringing it up,
discussing.
'cause, yeah.
Oh, The Fifth Element, I think, was one that
Oh,
we
I
were
would-
sort of talking about.
We will be doing that.
We
for
will be
sure.
doing The Fifth Element eventually. You can always come back on that one.
Yeah,
would love.
absolutely.
Yeah,
But,
I went with my stepmom and a couple friends to see it at the Rooftop Cinema Club.
Oh, fun!
It was awesome.
Oh, cool!
It's so cool.
I mean, I don't think I ever got to see it on the big screen. Like,
That
even
was
when it
my first
came
time
out.
seeing it on a big
Yeah.
screen. It's so awesome.
Oh man, yeah, that's something that would be amazing.
That really put me in my space of feeling like an adult gay man. I'm just like all the costume, all the Gautier. Thank
Yes,
you.
Gautier, man, come on, get out of here. I love that time when you could just get like a fashion designer to be like, you're
Right.
going to design every costume in this movie.
It needs to happen more.
I totally agree with you.
But yeah, we definitely have to get to that movie.
Yes,
Oh,
for
yeah.
sure.
Yeah, I do kind of feel like David Lynch is one of those directors that I do need to sit down and do a deep dive of his entire filmography. I always like do New Year's resolutions that I'm going to go through like I'm pretty much done with like Kubrick. I think that I'm just like missing like a few of his movies, but David Lynch is one of those directors that I need to watch more of.
Yeah.
And he's from Montana. He is born in
No.
Missoula. So
Love that.
So that's what's kind of cool with like film people from Montana is that they really claim David Lynch because
As well they
he's
should.
from
Yeah,
Missoula. I want to say that he visits Montana a lot, and there was this urban legend in Missoula that the big building that the Wilma Theater in, there was events that Blue Velvet was based on.
Oh,
I can
happened-
totally
Was like
happened
out
there.
of the old
Okay.
building that was
Oh yeah.
that the
Okay.
Wilma was in. I always
right,
liked
all
that
right.
like
That's
college
fun.
urban legend that I heard.
Right.
Yep.
And it makes sense. I saw it. I don't know if it's like art is life or something. There's a like documentary like that David Lynch did on himself kind of, that I saw. It's like 2016, I think, when this came out, and it's still very weird and artsy as his movies always are. But it talks a lot about him like growing up and his inspirations, and so yeah, this definitely like. You can see his affinity for the weirdness that happens
Sure.
in small towns and all of his, I guess. I think Blue Velvet is where it shines most, but I totally see elements of that in this as well.
Oh, yeah,
Having
for
the
sure.
like precocious, wide-eyed, like a bright-eyed, bushy-tailed protagonist who just really does not even have any idea of what a world of shit they're about to uncover.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so I just did a Google search of it, and it was an article that came
Jeez.
up in the Missoula News that many locals believe the events that took place in the Wilma building were what Blue Velvet became.
I love that.
I mean, that's probably a
big
bullshit
old story.
Like that is probably a bullshit story, but I like.
Yeah,
I like it.
I like it
Still fun.
anyways.
It's still fun. All right. But yeah, thank you so much for coming on.
thank you so
This
much for
was
having me
great.
back.
Your episode of But I'm a Cheerleader is really, really solid.
Yeah, really fun episode.
I was listening to it the other day on my lunch hour, and it's really funny. So yeah,
I love it too.
It's one of my favorites.
All right. Well, definitely we'll have you back on for something in the future. Maybe Fifth Element.
Fifth Element, yes.
Keep listening, everybody. But until then, time to say bye-bye. Bye. And thank you so much for listening, everybody.
Thanks so much.
Yes, indeed. David Lynch, Mulholland Drive.
Glad that we got Zoe back on.
Yes. Zoe's awesome. Great. But I'm a Cheerleader episode. Don't tell Mom the cheerleader's a lesbian.
A lesbian.
So go back and listen to that one if you haven't already. But we got some fun stuff to talk about in our closing moments of the show. We have... What do we have first?
We have a new review on iTunes. Do you want to go ahead and read it?
Yeah, let me read our new review on iTunes. It's really cute. It's short and sweet, just the way we like it. But we always say we'll read your reviews on the air, so here it is. This is from Apple Podcast listener B. Cara, Bcarra. The title is Favorite Podcast. 5 stars. I wish I was their friends. They're so funny.
Oh, I love that.
I love that. Thank you so much. Write us a review on Apple Podcasts, and we'll go ahead and read it on the air, just like we did for that one and the previous ones. So it's really easy and free. It's over on Apple Podcasts. You don't even have to have like an iTunes account. You can just go open up iTunes or Apple Music or whatever it's called these days.
They may even give you a funny name as your username.
Yeah. And write us a review. We'll read it on the show. Also, if you want to, give us 5 stars, you can do that too on Apple Podcasts or on Spotify. But I think now it's the time.
Is it time for Patreon shout-outs?
Yes, it is. Time for Patreon shout-outs. We have got some awesome patrons that we love, and we'd like to say thank you every week for listening, including Ted, Benny, Jermel, Melanie, Christopher, Susan, JJ, Layton, Shelby, Michael, Charlie, Muffy, Paul, Jamie, Drew, Jimmy, Genevieve, Dawn, Joshua, Emily, Melly, Aaron, Melinda, Jim, Jessica, Nick, and Shannon, Christine, and Rufino.
If you go to Patreon, sign up on a tier, you can either do a one-time donation or do a continuous donation.
Yes, indeed.
Anything helps. You'll get access to all of the Watch with us commentaries. By the time this episode comes out, we will have a new one.
Absolutely. Yes, indeed. Our one before that was Jurassic Park, and there'll be a fun mystery one.
Link up the movie and watch with us, or just listen to us in your car.
Yeah, you can just listen to it as a bonus episode.
To it as a bonus
episode. A lot of fun. You can binge them all. If you do just a 1-month donation, binge all the episodes. There's over 20 Watch With Us commentary tracks and some newsletters. So we're settled into the apartment now in the new headquarters, so you'll be getting a newsletter very, very shortly. So head over to patreon.com/movies that made us gay. That's a lot of fun. So we talked about giving us 5 stars. We talked about writing a review. Please go ahead and do that.
Give us a follow on Instagram at Movies That Made Us Gay and on Twitter at MTMUGPod.
Absolutely. And if you'd like to follow us, our personal accounts, my name is Pete. I am at Peter Lasagna on Instagram and Twitter.
And I'm Scott Youngbauer on Instagram, and follow my letterbox.
Yes, indeed. Until next week, everybody, thank you so much one more time.
Bye.